Hey gang, are you in a band in Austin and you're looking to make the leap from the band of schmoes to the band of pros? Well, you can start by rehearsing at Space. Space is a state-of-the-art, affordable venue for rehearsal and recording located just a few short miles south of downtown Austin. With 31 spacious rooms, wide gallery-lit corridors, and plenty of parking, Space is the place to do it. And also, during this pandemic, they have taken the safety measures that are needed. You have to bring your own microphones, but there's also like a one-way movement. There's a door you come in, a door you go out. They're practicing safety over there at Space. Just call them at 512-448-9518. That's 448-9518. Or go to spaceatx.com and take the talent train from Schmoesville to Protown with Space Rehearsal and Recording. Let's get down. Hey gang, check it out. Austin Music Foundation is excited to share the first 5 songs from year 4 of our Artist Development Program, available exclusively on Bandcamp. 5 brand new original singles from DZ Brown, Aubrey Hayes, Drint, Pelvis Wrestling, and Stone Wheels. Your $5 donation will help Austin Music Foundation continue leading the way in producing innovative, career-advancing programs, including the Artist Development Program. Every dollar over the suggested donation will go directly to these worthy artists. Check it out today at austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.com. That's austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.com. Get involved.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
When we talked,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good week. It's been a crazy week. The weather's getting insane, man. It's freezing now. It's going to get even colder. Power outages everywhere. I hope you're staying safe and staying warm wherever you are. Also, stay insane, man, because not only have we been like under lockdown for almost a year now, but now like you can't even go outside and go for a walk because it is freezing. Gang, I have a great big show for you today. Singer-songwriter Leti Garza is on the show today. She's got a brand new album dropping on March 24th. It's called Borderland. It's I heard some songs from it. It's absolutely fantastic. But she has a brand new single out right now called La Empaliza, the Brown Recluse mix, and that single is out now. It's produced by my dear old friend Michael Ramos. La Empaliza is a call to arms to embrace life, no matter what the hell is at the door. And Leti and I have a great conversation. But before we talk to Leti Garza, I talked to Austin Music Foundation Artist Development Year 4 member Drint. His brand new single, Complete Control, dropped today, February 12th, on ATX Gen Next Adventures in Lockdown Side B, which is available at austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.com. All right? There's all kinds of artists on there. DZ Brown, Aubrey Hayes, Stone Wheels, and Pelvis Wrestling. All of them available on ATX Next Gen Adventures in Lockdown Side B, out today. Drint's singles Upfront and Complete Control are on there, and I actually got to play on the song Upfront. Drint and I have gotten to get to know each other a little bit over the last few months doing the Artist Development Program. It's been a great experience getting to know him. He's a fantastic singer, a wonderful, wonderful artist, a great songwriter, and really becoming a good friend. I enjoy talking to Drint all the time. Always love seeing him. So without further ado, before we talk to the great Leti Garza, let's talk to my dear friend Drint.
Lost, so you found me. I was your guilty pleasure. Blinded, I kindly let you treat me however I fell right.
It's funny because the last year I got to spend time in the studio, like real time, like kind of like I did in some of your session. But that's only because it was you and Alejandro. I mean, if you would have been a band, I couldn't, I went by the other ones, but yours, I actually, I got to weasel my way onto a song.
You played on it.
Yeah.
You played on the track.
Yeah, I'm very proud to be part of that, man.
The first like organ sound, that I think that's such a special song anyway. Just that journey of that was super cool.
Tell me a little bit about that song. Like, when did you write that? Up Front is the song we're talking about.
Yeah. I wrote Up Front. I'm trying not to have my podcaster. Like I'm trying to just have a convo. I wrote Up Front, I think about 2018.
Okay.
And I actually found a beat on YouTube. And it was right after I like went on this date with this guy, and like it's kind of a multiple date kind of situation, and then kind of turned out to be just not, he wasn't being super truthful on his end and just like what he wanted out of it. And I was like so enthralled because that's who I am. As just a person, I get so impressed with people. Yeah, so I like got kind of stoned one day and I found that beat on YouTube, and it was just like the word up front kind of was resonating with me, just that word, and just up from the jump, and like, and the verses kind of came super natural and easy too, and it was just easy, and I took it to my friend Casey, and she kind of helped me flesh out the story and just like what I was trying to say and how I wanted to articulate it. So yeah, that was the story. I wrote it about 2 years ago, and it's cool because it's probably the most simplest song that I have, and like, but it's also one of the most honest ones. Also,
right.
That comes from like a real personal experience of mine.
Right. What you, in my mind, what you call simple, I would call direct. Like you know what someone's talking about in that song.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably it. Just it's one of the most direct songs that I have, which I appreciate. About the song.
How is this the last year in this pandemic? We've done this program. This is the 4th year of it, and every year we're able to spend time together. The bands all get to spend time together and end up, really helping each other out on a lot of things. And I'm sure that in some ways there's people you've just never even met in person yet.
Yeah, just like throughout the whole year through
the program. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've met everyone though.
In person.
Well, not probably the only people I haven't met in person are the artists. I don't. Think
right. Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah. I haven't hung out with anyone.
So through this thing, you get in this program. And all of a sudden, you get thrown in the studio with these 2 crazy ass dudes. Mm-hmm. How was that experience for you? Like having that sort of. I know everyone's very blunt, but then there's also this entertainment factor. Like Einar is one of the most entertaining people to tell a story, yeah. And Frenchie is an odd.
He's a rare guy.
He's a rare guy, but they love your music, and we all loved your music, or you wouldn't be in the program. But they love those songs, and I know that when you go in and work with people, and they kind of put your hands in your, they start doing some surgery on your songs. Stick their hands in it. It can be a little weird. How was that for you?
Yeah, I think initially I definitely came up. Honestly, I came in with my guard up, because I was like, it was songs that, I felt very much attached to, and very much so like are already kind of set in their place.
Right.
And what in my mind, that's kind of what I went in with it in. And I think it was, for me, like, it was learning to like, let go of like myself, the ego, and let go of like what the idea of what I want things to be all the time, because it's not necessarily like the thing, but also, you know, that fine line between like letting go and speaking up for my artistry. You know, I think I found myself battling that a lot in my brain, you know, just like what's the fine line between those, and surrendering to, you know, just what the art will be. But the experience was just, it was cool. What I equated to, I said after the recording up front, it's like I felt like Aretha, like back in the day, like with these sessions with these like men, and like and she just singing and like being this vocal powerhouse. And yeah, I think I felt like I was just worked in that way of like it felt like the studio had this like old school vibe to it, and like I just felt like I was back in the 60s or whatever. But yeah, I think working with Frenchie, working with Anar, just two different kind of vibes. And Frenchie is just this like animated like person that's like he's just, can't even describe him, you know. And Anar is different, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's just different, you know. It's just like different ways to work with different people, you know. I think it taught me that more than anything, and surrendering myself a little bit, and for the sake of the song.
That's what I was waiting to hear. And I feel like that's definitely what happens with years of experience. You realize it's not you, it's nobody, it's the song. Like that's who the boss is here. It's going to tell you where it wants to go. It's going to, you know, and being an artist, especially having done something like that. Have you ever heard the term demo-itis?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that happens to me too, because I create full demos myself, and I'll hang on to them for a while, and then I'll go work with someone. They'll be like, "Hey, why don't we change this?" And I'm like, "Well, you back to no, it doesn't go like that." You know,
it doesn't go like that.
Yeah, you have to step out of yourself and look at the song as being a bigger thing than that.
You do.
Yeah,
you do. That's what I learned. That's what I learned.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I have this amazing memory of, and I don't think I'll ever forget it, but there's this great memory of Frenchie trying to put a slap bass on up front, and he just wanted it to happen once, but do you remember him trying to do it?
I do. I do remember. He wanted to do it. And but the thing about Frenchie too, which I really admired about him, is like he would look at me and like even if like
it was terrible.
He would know by just my look.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even have to like kind of make even a face. I had this mask on, you know what I mean? But he could tell by my eyes and I wasn't feeling it. And so I appreciated him for stepping outside of himself too, just for the sake of the song, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember that day. And wah-wah guitars and that whole gig.
The whole thing. Yeah, I remember you were. Yeah, man, you know, the thing is I liked you from when we met last year, even just on Zoom. I felt like we had a good connection and stuff like that. And it was really great to see you work and see that you did take a stance for yourself as an artist. You know, there was some stuff where you're like, nah, I don't want to do that, man.
Which is hard.
And I'm Drint.
You know, I think,
yeah.
I think that's hard, you know, for me specifically, you know, that I like always kind of like wanting to lead with kindness and lead with, lead with being the quiet guy in the back and not being assertive. I think as I'm learning now, it's like I think I was so much just afraid of my quote unquote sassy or
well, you don't want to be a bitch. No one wants to be a bitch.
Absolutely.
To work with.
But I've been in therapy, and he's like, you should like. It's not a negative thing to always like to voice what you think, you know, in service of yourself, and whether that comes off as whatever, you know what I mean. It's just like sometimes you just have to do that and not be afraid.
Yeah.
You know? Especially for me. Yeah.
I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Alejandro's involvement in this, and
Right.
what a great collaborator he's been for you. What a great team you guys make.
Yeah. 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 He's a rock, man. He's been like truly just one of my best friends. And yeah, he's just, and it's great because like he understands the vision, and like he just wants to be a part of it, and he wants to see me grow, and just loyal person, like, and just loyal, talented human being.
Yeah.
And I love that.
He plays a very supportive role in like the Drint organization,
He does. He does. He does, and he continues to be there.
Yeah.
He's pretty much on every song that I feel needs a guitar. I'm gonna always call Alejandro. Like it's like every song that there's a lot of stuff in the canon right now that's like he's just like going ham on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So you've got these 2 new singles, Complete Control and Upfront. They're out and available for people to get on Bandcamp and stuff. But what does the rest of 2021 look like for you?
Yeah, I'm kind of gearing up for some new songs. One in particular, it's called "Give It All Away," and it's, which I really really love because it's a departure from a little bit. It's a departure a little bit from the sonics of "Don't Save Me" as a project, and even some of these songs. And I having a little bit more fun while also being a little bit more honest, keeping my authenticity even with having fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, I think no big project. I think right now in the forecast. I think I'm finding my footing, is finding my love for music and finding gearing that back up, and I think. And yeah, just finding my vision again for just what I want, and even outside of Austin, like kind of just finding my vision again. And I think if I just take it step by step and song by song, I'll be in a just good mental space.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I got now.
Well, I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for what 2021 brings. Are you, when things open back up, do you think you'll start playing some shows?
Yeah, I actually have one. I got confirmed for one yesterday. DZ and Jake Lloyd.
Whoa. When is that?
That's February 13th at the Far Out Lounge.
Oh, wow. That's the day after this podcast comes out, at Far Out, with DZ.
Yeah.
Another
DZ,
member of the thing.
Another member of the program, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that this year kept us physically apart so much, but I'm glad that I got to see you and spend time with you and get to know you, because I really do. I love and care about you. I really do. Like, you're a special person. You're a special artist.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, you're like my personal Teddy Pendergrass.
I still have yet to listen to Teddy. I need to go buy a vinyl and just kind of.
If I find vinyl, you have a record player? Okay, so
I do. That's
Jeffrey
my favorite
Osborne,
thing
every
around.
Jeffrey Osborne and Teddy Pendergrass record I find, I'll give to you.
Okay, please do.
Yeah.
That I feel like I can't listen. I don't want to do it on Spotify. I want to have a physical thing.
Yeah.
And like really like sit down and like really take it in.
Take it in. Yeah, the way it was meant to be.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We love you, man. Thank you for being part of the program.
Love you, Johnny.
I just wish you were up front from the jump. I just wish you could have just manned up, owned it, told me what was up.
Always so great getting to talk to my dear friend Drint. What a wonderful person and what a talented man. Pick up his singles Complete Control and Upfront on ATX Gen Next, Adventures in Lockdown, Side A and Side B, available now at austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.com. You can also pick up songs from DZ, Aubrey Hayes, Stone Wheels, and of course, Pelvis Wrestling. All right, let's talk to Leti Garza, whose brand new EP, Borderland, drops March 24th. You can find her at letigarza.com. Of course, her brand new single, available now, La Empaliza, Brown Recluse Mix. Single is out now, produced by my dear old friend Michael Ramos. The song honors her aunt, Eva Garza, who was a maverick in the 40s and 50s. Leti tells us all about it. We have a really great conversation. She actually went to her storage unit to do this conversation because she doesn't get good reception where she lives. Anyway, Leti Garza and I have a great conversation about her journey in music. Of course, she's won awards from the Texas Music Museum, Austin History Center. Her album was recognized as one of the top 10 albums of 2017 in Texas Music Magazine. So without further ado, let's talk to the amazingly talented and super cool Leti Garza. Let's get down. So you are in a shed. What's going on with the shed? You want to tell the story of the shed?
Sure. Yes. How about that? I'm just like, I can do that. But before I do,
Yeah.
Johnny, I've circled around your music and aura, and maybe you've heard about me
I have.
through time. And so it's such a pleasure to have this moment.
Yeah, it totally is. I actually have that in my notes, was like, how have we never hung out?
It's just we're in our worlds.
Yeah.
And I think do with the genres that we are in, slightly different genres, but still the music world is small.
Yes, it is.
But anyway, but the point being that it was such a pleasure to look up your stuff today. And so I'm happy to be here. Yeah. And my heart is open. I have an open book for you because obviously you're amazing at your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
Enjoyed. Okay, my shed story.
Yeah, shed story. Tell me about it.
So I moved to Elgin, Texas, right before COVID hit, and to the country for all kinds of reasons. And it turned out to be fortuitous that I moved out to the country in terms of I truly am isolated out here and, don't have to butt up against a lot of people on a regular basis because I live on this property that's just got cows on it right now. And it's really, I live in a little piece of heaven. It's really beautiful. And, but the downside is, I also figured out after moving here, this is a national topic, that the connectivity in rural parts of the country is a huge topic right now, especially because of COVID, because children who live out in rural areas have a lot of trouble trying to have school out here because the connectivity in rural areas sucks.
Oh, the internet connectivity sucks. Yeah.
Yes. And so, I have two separate ways that I have to connect my internet at my house, but neither one of them are very dependable for Zoom conversations. And so I have to literally go to a storage shed. Fortunately, I have a storage shed. It's my mother's storage shed that I can just open it up. And it's got good connectivity because it's close to town.
Yeah. I'm so glad it's not August.
Yes.
I bet you are too.
I was here in August and I've been here when it's really cold. I look forward to, a different way of communicating. Hopefully within this next year, I'll have better internet connectivity somehow, some way. I'm looking for different options right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about this amazing single, La Empaliza, the Brown Recluse mix. Now, this is a song, it has a history with you because you initially recorded it on a record from 2017, right?
Yes, and it actually has a history before that.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. Your aunt sang this song.
Yes. Well, you probably know my whole journey into singing music was because I loved to sing in Spanish, and I sort of focused on my aunt to use her as a mentor in a sense, and began singing her music when I initially started singing publicly. And so she was known for her boleros, but she sang a lot of different kinds of music. And go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask, was she like a full-fledged recording artist back in like the 50s?
She was a huge international recording artist from the 40s through the 60s.
Wow.
And she did film and music. She did a lot of LPs through Columbia, which was called, I think, Peer Records back then. And she lived, if I may elaborate on my aunt, because it's just cool. She's like an original, maverick that you don't know about because she wasn't on the internet, right?
Right.
So, yeah, she lived in Argentina. She lived in Mexico City. She lived in New York City. She was from San Antonio. And anyway, not to go into too much detail about her, she's on the internet if anybody ever wants to look her up.
Eva?
There's Eva,
Yeah.
EVA,
Yeah.
Garza.
Garza. Yeah.
And that's where I took my kind of my lead between Eva and my brother, David, to just say, well, this is the music that I really gravitate, love. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with my aunt, and nobody knows about her.
How old were you? How old were you at this point?
When I started singing publicly, or when I started doing what?
When you made that decision, my aunt, my brother I'm gonna use them as sort of beacons to what to do, and I'm gonna get out and do this. How old were you when you made that decision?
I'd say it was about the year 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were 11 or something.
No, but I sang in my youth with my brother.
Okay.
I sang sort of all my life through my brother, and listened to my aunt all my life through LPs.
Right.
Which leads into the reason I sing the kind of music I do, and back to that song La Impaliza. The thing is, I through my aunt, she didn't really sing música mexicana as much as she did música tropical.
See.
Tropical music, Cuban music, largely.
Yeah.
And it really was a great education for me, and just really allowed me to fall in love with the Cuban Afro-Caribbean rhythm.
That's awesome.
Plus, I was a dancer. And so, but the thing is, most recordings that you can hear on the web are of her boleros, or of her Afro-Caribbean, her boleros, or some cha-cha. Very old school, orchestrated, highly orchestrated. But the cool thing about La Impaliza was that I just happened to be looking up on eBay to see if I could find some some new LPs on her from her work. And that was the only time that I've ever found a recording of Eva's that was a merengue. And I love merengues. Luis Calaf was the composer of that song originally, and he was one of the Dominican Republic's most prolific composers in that time period. She worked with all the lead composers of that day. And so I found La Impaliza on this this, what do you call it, LP 50s, really old school, thick LP, got it from eBay, and then took it to a young friend of mine at a cooperative so he could play it on his little stereo system, this turntable. And when I heard it, I just went, man, I'm going to do this song one day. And And so that was the beginning. And that was a good probably 6 years before we recorded it in 2017.
Wow. So, okay. So then you recorded it, and then, how did Ramos get a hold of it? I'm an old friend. I've been friends with Ramos since like 1984, I think.
I was hoping you guys were buddies. I had a feeling.
I was in a band. I was like a kid in a band he was in.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I met Michael a couple of times in different musical circumstances. One through my niece, Carrie, and one through a show that I was doing. I was trying to recollect some show that KUT was putting on that we were both involved in at the Mexican American Cultural Center. Anyway, so in 2017, while I was in the middle of producing that album, I decided, and I don't remember exactly why I decided, but I decided to look him up and ask him if he'd just take a listen to this new album, because I respect his music and I know he's a nice guy, and I thought it just would be a good way to connect. He took a listen to that album of 2017, and he loved it. But then he came back to me later and he asked me if I had any interest in having him remix La Empaliza, because he thought it was such a cool song.
Yeah.
And so I said, are you kidding me? I'd love that. What a great idea. What a great idea, because I have this sound that's kind of old school, but I'm much more interested in experimental works for the future and moving towards contemporizing old works. I love the idea of contemporizing old works so that it's relevant.
Right. I think that's a great thing. It translates and it feels fresh and new. I wonder if I can. Did you say your niece is Carrie? When you say Carrie, do you mean Carrie Rodriguez?
Yes.
Yeah, she's fantastically talented. I don't know her either, but I do know around that time, wasn't that when Michael did that record with Gina Chavez?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. He's so sorry. So he gives you this thing, and then you decided to go ahead and do this new EP with him.
So, sort of. Everything that I do takes forever. It's a drag, but it's the way it is with me. So, yeah. So he turns out this wonderful track remix. He did that probably, not too long after the 2017 album. I was holding on to that track of La Empaliza to release it. But I kind of got held up for a variety of reasons, and I just couldn't build a platform by which I felt really it needed to be released until COVID hit. And so yes, to answer your question, that's exactly what happened. I decided to release the single. And at the same time, I was already planning to work on this new EP. And I thought to myself, this is a perfect opportunity to, in a sense, thank him and incorporate him into my life, because I think he's a great guy and he's talented as heck.
Yeah.
And so we jumped into this new EP that we're in the middle of finishing up.
He's one of like the top 10 funniest people I know as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's
pretty funny.
Yeah. There's not a lot of times I don't just laugh when I'm around him. So that record, that record that you did in 2017, I'm sorry, I didn't write down the name for some reason. What is it called?
El único para mí.
El único para mí.
Yeah.
That ended up being like a top 10 Texas Music Magazine album that year. Like top 10 of the year.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
Yeah. Do you tour a lot? I mean, do you get out and tour behind these?
Not as nearly as much as I'd like to. I have done some touring. I have a family that I take care of.
Okay.
So I select when I tour. I hope to, in about a year, I hope to tour with this new EP. Plus, I have plans to do another album. These things I've been writing for a while. I just haven't done anything about them. So I have actually two brand new pieces of work. One's a full length, and then the EP that I hope to tour. I hope to allow myself to do that and just think it's okay. I just like, is everybody going to be okay at my house? You know, I don't know. It's the way it is with me. I'm a mom and I'm an artist.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm Cuban. My parents were both born in Cuba. And so I know the Latinas don't mess around when it comes to their family. It's definitely number one. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I treat they're both equally my most important things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got to hear a couple of tunes from the album, and I thought that the difference was between the Brown Recluse mix of La Empaliza is that I found it a little sparser.
Yes, that was intentional. In 2017, I don't know if you've ever heard any of those tracks, but if you take a listen to that at some point, you'll find that. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a huge orchestrated,
Right. Yeah.
Wow, over the top thing. And when I decided to do the EP, I wanted to strip everything down and just have it be mainly from my heart and just strip it down and have it be me for a couple of reasons. One was I just felt a little bit constricted,
yeah.
with working with such a large band, and it was so involved, and so I thought I'm going to take a different direction with this EP. For that reason, I also decided to strip it down because I don't write I don't write music all the time. I don't release music all the time. I've written music a lot in my past, but never released it. And so I wanted to be really specific about this is my work. I have 3 songs on that EP that are originals. And I really want people to really hear my vocal and the words and kind of who I am. Because in the past, I've always said things like, oh, well, I'm all about honoring my aunt. And because family is so important to me, I'm all about, I want to honor my band that I've been working with. That's why it was so orchestrated, El Único Para Mí, because I had worked with these jazz musicians, Latin jazz musicians, for many years. And the album was actually a collaboration between myself and 2 incredible musicians, Scott McIntosh and Jose Galeano, along with my band. So this EP, I wanted it to be just my EP. I didn't want to involve all this other stuff, except for Michael Ramos, because I love what he does, and I knew felt we could really mutually respect one another in the choices, and we work together extremely well. It's been so much fun. Yeah. And finally, another reason, the last reason was that when I released El Único Para Mí, I realized, oh shit, how would I tour this album?
It's gonna be expensive, man.
I would like to hear I would like to hear this big orchestra, but I can't do that. I don't have a label behind me. Exactly.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'm going to create something that I can tour with simpler. So those are the reasons.
Brilliant.
Oh, finally. Oh, no. The other reason, really, truthfully, was because that was the music that came out of me during the last 2 years of my travels to the border. And it just needed to be sparser.
Yeah. And just so people know, it's the EP is actually called Borderland. And do the songs focus on... what I read here is that it reflects your belief that human relationships and our responsibilities to one another transcend borders. So it might, and also the theme is to protect the innocent. So it has to do with what has gone on during the last 4 years at our. I don't mean to laugh. I just. I'm glad it's over.
But yeah,
is why I'm laughing. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It refers very specifically to the children that have been, damaged at the border and our terrible policies.
Yeah.
And it's very specific in that sense. And I wanted it's just something I do. That's all I can tell you. Something that came out of me.
So let me ask you, how did you feel yesterday? We got a new guy in there and he sat down and signed a bunch of executive orders, I think like 15, but one of them had to do with immigration and our policies on how we handle that. Was that included in it?
Was that included in what?
In the executive order that he signed yesterday, there was an immigration one. There was like a specific immigration one that I assumed had to do with those borders.
Yes, it does have to do with those borders. And honestly speaking, I don't know exactly what he signed. I belong to a website that I was going to look it up this morning, and then I didn't have time to look it up.
You didn't think I was going to be asking you about it either, probably.
No, you have that one question most important. But I do know that the people on this site, it's called Witness the Border, that they're, and myself as well, I just am not doing it today, but they are daily writing politicians and daily on the case of our new government to make sure that it doesn't get
swept
ignored.
Yeah. And we have a chance now because it seems like the left is a little more tolerant of immigration than the right, and at least now we got a House and a Senate and a president guy. Maybe we can get some stuff through that'll change and maybe make a difference in these people's lives. When you, Leti, when you say you're going to the border and stuff, are you going down there specifically for that reason? You said you'd been going to the border?
In 2019, I think it was, or the end of 2018. Can't remember now, frankly. Probably end of 2018. I became involved with the same group that does Witness the Border. When the law got passed, that was clearly, the worst possible law to stick children inside these detention camps. It spoke to a lot of people, and I was one of those people who read about it a lot. And so sort of collectively across the country, people have gathered to witness what has been happening at the border. And I did too. I went, my first event, I haven't done it all the time, just a few times, but it was enough to profoundly affect my thoughts about it. And anyway, so I went in the end of 2018, I think it was, on Christmas Day to protest the collection of children at the Tornillo detention camp. It was the largest detention camp in the country at the time, holding close to 3,000 children at its peak. And I actually went to the border and helped organize a concert at that time. And it was the first, I think, huge publicity that was received. Beto O'Rourke was there at the time, and NPR came. And anyway, so it received quite a bit of attention to highlight what was going on at the border. And shortly thereafter, that detention center did get closed down. And like I said, though, I went down there to do music because they told me that they were going to do a Christmas concert for the children. And it raised my curiosity tremendously. And I said, well, what can I do? Can I do something? And I realized that they were going to do a bunch of American music for the kids that were behind those fences.
Right.
Well, I'm a bilingual English singer.
Right. Yeah.
And so I said, let me come down there and do music for the children that they'll understand. And so that's what started my participation periodically to be involved with this couple of groups. There's more than one group here in Austin that go down to the border to provide to provide money, food, attorney's fees, whatever. There's people that really care here, as well as all across the country. So, again, regarding your question about whether or not a law was passed, I think
No, not a law, but an executive order was signed.
Executive order.
Yeah.
So I think that the thrust of the Biden administration is to reduce the deportations of the children that have been sent home without parents, to back to their countries,
Right.
that have been here in the States. So, I can't begin to imagine anything more horrible than, laying this stuff on innocent children.
Right. And that's really like the biggest fear as a child. You can totally remember that's the, those guys are taking care of you. All right. Well, so this record, the Borderland, drops on March 24th. Hopefully it will, though.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And people can just go to LetiGarza.com to find out stuff. Man, I want to go back. So you're from Houston? Let me preface this with, I totally creeped on your Facebook page. I mean, I went through like years of photos of your thing.
Oh, shit. That's okay.
Yeah.
I've got a long history.
You do. And that's why I saw the photos of Carrie, and then I was kind of trying to figure out what the connection was there. But there were photos of you dancing and doing photographs, obviously in high school. You're from Houston?
Yes, I'm from Houston.
What part of H-Town did you reside?
I grew up very close to Pasadena, and like on the border of Pasadena, Ritchie, Howard Drive, Belford. I assume you know Houston.
Yeah.
Are you from Houston too?
Kind of. I mean, I've just been around Houston a lot in my life, and I lived there for a while in my life. Yeah. And I'm always there, it seems like.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I'm from Southeast Houston, and but I was fortunate enough to go to the High School for Performing and Visual Arts. So that really informed my life to this day.
I can only imagine that the group of kids that were like, there was a hipness. I'm hip to HSPVA. I had friends like that ended up going there. I've had friends that went there now as an adult and stuff. I'm in a band with a dude that went there. For those that don't know, HSPVA is the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts in Houston. That's basically like the Fame High School. Right? Yeah. And so you went in for what, dance?
I was a dance major and a visual arts major, but mainly dance.
Okay. And so what, did you start there as a freshman, or did you get in some other time before?
I started as a freshman in high school. Well, that's when it starts, freshman. Yeah.
So my question is to you, like where you lived in Pasadena, for those listening that aren't quite familiar with Houston, if you've ever seen Urban Cowboy, Pasadena is where they live. So you can imagine culturally, like going from like the outskirts of Pasadena and the kind of kids that were there and what they were into, and then like going to Montrose to like just a school of freaks. You know what I mean? Were you like, oh, I'm home when you got there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a good thing for me was I was always, I was basically raised in studios, dance studios at that time. But from a very early age, I was always involved in the arts. And so I would go across town for other endeavors already. Was in a dance company by the age of 11. So when I went to the High School for Performing and Visual Arts, it was just like another home. It was very comfortable for me. And I didn't realize, it was funny because I really honestly didn't really consider it being such a big deal in my life. I had my best friend at the time who lived down the street from me. She was the one who said, we need to go to this high school. You and I need to go to this high school. She was an artist, and she ended up, her husband was anyway, that's another story. But yeah, so between her encouragement and because I didn't know anything about it, I got in and I just went, wow, I'm so glad that this is available to me. How did I get to be so lucky? I was I think I was from the third or fourth graduating class there when it started.
Really?
Very different.
Yeah.
Oh, that dates me. Yeah.
That's all right. So what was the dream then? You were going to dance? Well, you were going to go to HSPVA and then go off and be a ballerina or modern dance, or what was the jam there?
That's such a nice question. When I was really young, I had visions of becoming a professional dancer and living in New York. That was my life for a very long time, dancing. And then somewhere along the way, reality and reality kicked in. And also I eventually lost my desire to dance. It was too, something about it was too constricting for me again. Even in high school, I wasn't only dancing, I was also in the theatrical performances as an actor. I was also a visual artist. I was always drawing. I was also doing experimental dance work with sign language, dancing in trees. So I've always been sort of a box artistically. This music journey that I started in 2000, it was actually one of the more conservative pathways. Seriously, I'll just play in a band. That's easy. Of course, that was stupid. That was totally naive. But but before then, before I got into music, I was directing, producing, writing, and acting in a multidisciplinary performance company.
Wow, where was
10
that?
Years.
In Houston?
In Austin, Texas.
In Austin, okay.
Yeah, you won't have heard about it. It was pretty off the wall, but I did about 10 huge productions. Very nice, very nice. I wish I could do them again. They weren't seen enough.
Yeah.
That's the story. But anyway.
That's always a tough, like those disciplines like classical music, the orchestra, the symphony, dance and stuff. I feel like those are I hear my contemporaries bitching all the time about like, oh man, rock and roll is dead. And you're like, well, dude, imagine if you were a fucking clarinetist in an orchestra. Like that's a tough one, man. And I've got friends in the symphony and they invite me to go see it. And you go there and it's half empty. And it's just these weird old people. There's not like a new, young symphony people. Are there new dance people? Do you keep up in the dance world?
Not terribly, but I did make a great stop about 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago or so. I did this little tour in Europe, and one of the things I decided to do while I was touring was look up a couple of old high school friends, one of which was the director of this Parisian jazz company, the premier jazz company supported by the government in Paris. And so I went kind of to see what was going on. And it was a 3-story building with dancers running around everywhere, all ages.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seemed like his world was pretty alive. But for me, I'm not terribly interested from a personal perspective. I'm not terribly interested in most classical forms of art, except for reference or resource. I feel like I want to know about it, but I'm not that moved.
Right. I'm always wondering, like, are there new ballets being written? Are there new symphonies being written? Like, I don't know what's going on over there. Like, is it their fault they're not bringing the people in? I don't know.
Well, the arts have always struggled, but right now I'd say that my take on it is that the overall structure that we have for us right now is involved too much with, and by too much, I'm not criticizing it, but what I'm saying is we all have to do multidisciplinary works online now.
Right.
People don't want to get, and that's not just COVID. This is a trajectory before COVID.
Yeah, definitely. I think with life on your phone and like streaming this, and everyone's attention is kind of shift from that kind of art. You know what I mean?
I think Austin is a very lucky place
Yeah.
well, at least this is pre-COVID, it happens now, but it was one of the few places people really dug going to hear music.
Yeah.
And that was, I never realized how special that was. Through time, I realized it. Yeah.
So you graduated high school, and then would you come here for college?
Exactly.
What was your major here?
I got a degree in liberal arts history major. I was a history major.
Oh, fantastic.
And then I also performed in a dance company at the same time going to school here.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Sharir Dance Company, but they began with the Deaf Dance Company and mutated into the Sharir Dance Company, postmodern repertoire. They were, anyway. Yes.
What about, is that it? Like, no, you know what? I don't know dance very well, but I do know Jimmy, who used to work at Whole Foods. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Work with Jimmy.
Okay. All right.
I used to work with him many years ago.
Yeah.
He was at the Deaf Dance Company at the same time I was later.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at the tail end of that company dissolving. But yeah, I worked with deaf dancers, and he was certainly one of the most amazing ones.
Yeah. I remember just him like sacking your groceries at Whole Foods was a,
Yeah. Experience. It was definitely an experience.
Yeah. I moved here from the Woodlands in like 1984 or something. I lived here for a year and went to high school. But I remember that was like my mom's favorite dude in the world because she loved dance and just his whole. I just saw him like a year ago. I was just thinking about this. I was like, oh yeah, I saw him like a year ago. And at 1 to 1 bar, his daughter was singing with this band my friends Alex Marrero and Bruce Hughes have that does Sly and the Family Stone and Curtis Mayfield. I think it's called Sly Curtis. But she was singing with that band. She was amazing. But it was like I saw him. When you see him, you know who he is. There's what an amazing spirit. I can't tell if you know what he looks like or just that vibe is unforgettable.
Yeah. This was last year you saw this?
I think it was last year, maybe at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
I almost said a couple of months ago, but then I realized I didn't go anywhere a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then you experimented. So when you started playing, when you decided in 2000 to get out there and you got the inspiration from your aunt and your brother, and how did you put that together?
Well,
going from zero into like getting gigs and putting together a band and putting together songs and doing, there's a lot that has to go into that.
Well, actually, there's another route that I took in between. So I have to explain that. I started publicly coming out with my aunt's music in 2000 based upon this one performance that I produced and was in called Colectivos. It was the first time that I know of that a group of Latin American local artists, dance artists, put together a concert of their own. And it was performed in East Austin. And it involved the major players of the day of the dance world right now that are the Latin-based companies. Like, you probably don't know who any of these people are, so I'm going to avoid what that is. But what the point is that, so in 2000, I came out with just one song at this performance, and it was written about. And that was so funny because I did a lot of dancing in that show, but it was the song that got written about by the critic, Michael Barnes. And when I read that, yeah, who doesn't know Michael? Anyway, so that really helped motivate me to say, yeah, I think I can start singing. This is something I think a good direction. But in between 2000 and about 2010, that's when I did 10. That's when I established a multidisciplinary performance company called Performance Encounters, and produced all these works while I was slowly working on my voice, slowly thinking about what I wanted to do musically. So my last production with Performance Encounters was 2010. And then I put together a band after that. And you asked me, how did I do that? Boy, I'm just so naive, you know. I just don't have any shame about these things. I just have this thing that I think I can do so many things. I'm not quite like that these days, like I used to be. But at that time, I thought, you know, I grew up singing. I had all these things that I've done. I just put together a band, and I did it because I was so burned out on how hard I was working for this company. And so I thought, I'm going to do something so simple. I'm just going to sing music I like and go gig, and it's going to be great. And of course, I also figured out that, well, who am I going to do this with? And I don't have any musical knowledge on. I had this dancers count like this when you start a phrase, they go and 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
But a musician, right, like you've seen in the movie.
Right.
But musicians go and 1 and 2 and 1. But you know, it's a whole different scene.
Right.
So I had to really be very humble still am, I hope, for a very long time to say, I want to do this, but tell me, how do you feel it? You know, how do you see it done? You know, so I did a lot of collaborative listening to the band that the first couple of bands I worked with. I just go out and hire a guitarist, you know, and then I would just call up a bunch of people. Back then it wasn't so hard, or maybe I just was lucky or something, but El Sol y la Luna, you know, on Congress when it used to be there.
There was a whole scene going on there with Son y No Son and who else was on there? There was a lot of son bands. There was a lot of David Polkingham going on over there.
Yes, there was. So, but they were more into salsa. I was into, back then, because of the level I needed to be at, I was purely into educating myself through singing about what my aunt's boleros were about, and what was this music about, and what was that rhythm, and could I figure this out? Because to me, I've always been dancers are very, probably musicians are this way too, I'm going to say. We're like really interested in what is that process. I want to learn everything I can about it before I start doing it.
Right.
And so I chose these classic Mexicano songs or classic Cuban songs, Como Fue, classic songs like Aquellos Ojos Verdes, Los Laureles, these songs that everybody knew and not I heard. Historia de Amor, my aunt used to sing that. These are all Trio Los Panchos songs. Uh-huh. I don't know if you're following me. I assume you are. Your public's following what I'm saying.
I don't know if my public is, but I grew up on that music. I mean, on the Latin music. Yeah.
So this was the music I decided to, let me absorb this. And so I started working with this musician in town that helped me to do gigs. He believed in what I was doing, and he was also very helpful for, you know, oh, you got to do it with this 4/4 time, and you can't do that, and you can do this. And then also I was just like, you know, fearless. No, I don't care if I can do this or not do this. I'm going to, this is what I feel.
Right.
And so that, and fortunately the music allows that.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. But the deeper I got into that genre of music, which again was originally, let's say in 2010, was that classic trio stuff. Then the further I moved along, the more I branched out and started really digging into the son
Yeah.
and into the salsa and into those other Afro-Caribbean rhythms that are much more complex, started finding my band that really were higher level, really high level, you know, you better watch out if you don't know what you're doing, musicians, because they will ream you. And and just started working fearlessly with them. And I'm sure they thought it was nuts. They still do probably at times, but they were such amazing musicians, like Galliano, to work with. And to this day, I still, you know, am in touch with them. I'm not playing the salsa band really right now, obviously.
Right. Are you doing anything like live stream wise? Are you gonna do some kind of live stream for the release of the record or EP?
Back to the internet, lack of internet connectivity.
Oh, right.
When COVID hit, I tried to put together a live stream show for about 6 weeks to 2 months. It was a nightmare because I just kept falling on my face because of the lack of internet connectivity. You can find those pitiful attempts on the web somewhere.
You left them up there?
Haven't yet. I haven't destroyed them yet. They're somewhere. But yeah, because I do also believe in process. And, you know, it's like it was obviously like I was trying to figure out the technical situation. And so they were really honest. And I thought there's something about them that marks the year for me. That's why I haven't taken them down yet. So I did that. And then I gave myself a very long break. And then about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I started another one in a different format of doing pre-recorded things.
Yeah.
And then taking them to the shed. Anyway, hopefully that it would be more successful. And I had mixed success about it, again, in part due to my internet connectivity issues. So I'm intending to do a live stream maybe once a month now, but I haven't done the first one. I'm probably going to do it next month. And in the meantime, I'm doing things like what I'm doing today with you is I'm doing interviews with different people. I have other interviews that I'm happening, which I will play music in to help me get through that hump before I do my own stream in the future, near future.
Yeah. There was a thing that I read in your bio, and I just made a note that says Astroworld furry animal, and I was trying to remember what that was, and it was you were wanting to do something in show business, and somebody in your family was like, "Hey, why don't you go be a furry animal at Astroworld?" Which, by the way, just sounds like someone's Latin uncle. You know what I mean? To me, it does. It sounds like all of my uncles.
Well, it wasn't my uncles, but I could definitely hear my uncle saying that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I had a grandpa that had like this, he didn't speak English, and he had a very, tenía un voz así. And when I started playing in bands and stuff, every time I was going somewhere, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm going to the mall." And he's like, "Va a cantar. Va a cantar en el mall."
That was perfect.
So did you ever work at Astroworld?
I did audition for it, and then shortly thereafter, I decided I wasn't going to do it. It seemed like it just wasn't going to. I wasn't going to do that. I just felt I couldn't go there. I didn't care.
But you had to audition to be like a person in a character suit. Because you have to dance and stuff.
Yeah, you had to do that. I did that. But yeah, no, the reference is because because, you know, like in today's world, I see the young Latinas like Gina Chavez really garnering attention for her music and for her stance on social issues. And I am very happy for her. And I'm very happy that these issues about, you know, equality for all races and all genders and all persuasions, things are starting to get moving in terms of opportunities. When I was younger, there were and up until maybe I'd say it's still lots to do for that matter. But for most of my life, there was not a place for me to fit into if I had decided to go into musical theater, or if I had decided to go into a dance company. You know, there were not opportunities for someone of my
right
Latin descent. And
right.
So that reference was to that fact that I had to figure out, if I was going to be an artist, what did that mean for me? And so it pushed me towards always creating my own world. And that's what I've done all my life. So I've never worked for large companies or large theater. I've only worked for my productions that I'm very, strict about, and worked for local theater like Teatro Vivo. I don't know if you know who they are, but they were a local Latin company here in Austin for several years. Just doing things that I knew I could do, not have to bow down to, these constraints of you're not this enough or you're not that enough. And that is actually one of my big things. Is, inclusion is what it's about for me.
Right. Yeah, that's luckily I feel like after last summer's giant wave of what I think is like almost like a national awakening. Like there were people who I think of myself as hip. I'm not racist, but at the same time, I wasn't doing anything about it because I didn't really know. I knew there was systemic racism, but what am I going to do? I'm just a guy singing songs, and then you realize, well, if everyone gets together, wakes up to it, you put an end to that stuff, and start actually building equality.
Yeah, no, that's a really good thought, Johnny. It's a good thought because, I feel the same. I understand we're all like, it's like an awareness thing, I think. It's an awareness thing that has to evolve over time. And we're all, I feel this, I feel like, I'm pretty hip too, as you say. I've dealt with discrimination all my life. Right. But there's levels that you just don't even see, Yeah. And we can do things about it. Right. But we don't even know things about it.
Right. It's funny because of my last name and because of the fair Spanish and British background that I have. I've never been discriminated against for being Hispanic, but I've been on heard people saying say to me stuff like, I don't know how you deal with all those Cubans, and you're like, hey, dude, hey,
that is Cuban. So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody would know you're Cuban.
No,
I saw that on your site, and I went, God, he's Cuban American. That's so cool.
Yeah, I could be a guy from Iowa. You never know. That's why I think my role in the Latino world is that I'm the infiltrator. I can get in just because as long as I don't speak Spanish, I'm cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the rest of the EP. The two songs that you sent me, there was one in Spanish, one in English. Did you, were those two that you wrote? Because I know you did two covers on the record too, or two other authored songs.
I decided to send one that I wrote, and that's in English.
Right.
That's the first one. And then the other one was a cover from the Mexicana, Natalia Lafourcade. That's a cover. And I decided to send you those particular songs because they're strikingly different.
Yeah.
But both about human rights in a sense.
Yeah.
But I do write, like I said, I have 3 songs of mine, and one of the 3 songs is in Spanish and the other 2 are English, but with Latin rhythm. Right. The one you heard wasn't Latin rhythm. That was, it's kind of Mexican.
Mexican, but it's more of a acoustic guitar song, just a song. It didn't seem to have too strong of a genre influence. It was like, here's a song. I liked it. That's That's Ramos playing the accordion on there, right?
Yeah.
Man, that guy's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's really done it. He's doing a great job on this.
What?
The song is meant to be muy sencillo, right?
Yeah.
Like super, and that's what it is.
What makes you sing a song in English or a song in Spanish? Just were writing it in English, and you're like, well, that's where it is.
I woke up with that song that you heard, that the one that was in English. I just woke up with it one day, and it begged to be in English to me. The other that's in Spanish, the same thing. The music came first for that song, and then I just knew the lyrics had to be in Spanish, and I just wrote it straight up at that time. The other song that I did is in English because the other thing that I was intentionally doing when I made this EP is that a lot of my audience are English speakers, and I get this all the time. Like, can you please translate? It's like, we love your music. It's so universal, but I don't understand it. And part of this album is for Americanos, is for people here in this part of the world to understand what's going on. So, I mean, I was okay with writing 2 songs in English, 1 song in Spanish. But the other 2 songs, the cover songs, are both, I think, in Spanish. So I wanted to kind of weight it half and half in a sense.
Right. Man, those songs are great. And of course, La Empaliza, the Brown Recluse mix, fucking great. It is great. You know what's funny is that's
Thanks.
the first thing I heard. And then going back and hearing the other stuff, you're like, oh shit, because that one even has these synths going like dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? Like it's so dancey and it's joyous and beautiful and great. And I feel like it fits in with everything because it's more about the message and those rhythms and whatever it is that people respond to with their hips is gonna be there anyway, right?
Yeah. I really wanted to put that song out at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Like, guys, like all of us, like it's a terrible year. Can we just let's just throw our clothes off and start dancing and just try to forget about everything for just a moment with this beautiful rhythm and a joy of, the joy that music can bring.
Yeah. And
so,
one thing I do know, and I feel like this, and I see it in almost all Latinos, that there's this thing that you wrote down, said it's La Empaliza is a call to action to embrace life no matter what the hell is at the door, and that is really, I feel like that's what our people do best.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, what the heck? Just go.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And
Chin up. Keep going.
we all have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's funny. There's not like a lot of there's not a lot of what's wrong. Maybe you should see a therapist. It's like, why are you crying? What are you doing? Shut up.
Yeah, definitely. There's no reason to complain. You got a lot going on here. Go do something else. Yeah, I was definitely raised with that. There is no whining to have. No way. No,
right.
No, and never.
It's funny now when I see like modern parents, people my age or maybe a little bit younger, like raising their kids, and they're like, I was playing video games. I need to go out and mow the lawn. I'm like, what do you have a kid for? Why? Like in my world, you didn't have a choice, right? Like that kind of thing. But there was also like this mentality that's like if a kid comes crying to their parent, they're like, oh, were you bullied? What happened? This is terrible. And like when I did, it was like, why are you crying? Well, you better stop crying or I'm going to give you something to cry about. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what. How many times have I heard lines like that? Oh my God. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great recollection of that. That's the line.
Exactly. I really appreciate that. I appreciate being raised to kind of like, hey, suck it up, kid. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that too for me, because I feel tougher from it in some ways, whatever tougher means. I mean, I just feel like it helps me to not care what other people think as
Exactly.
much. Because
Yeah.
I've had all my life, and people put you down for all kinds of things. But I have 2 children who are grown,
Oh.
and I'm also guilty of being the other kind of person who's like, "Oh, honey,
Yeah. And don't
just sit with it."
yeah,
You know?
don't get me wrong. Like I don't have kids, but if I did, I would be like the weirdest helicopter parent. I'd probably go to school with them until they were like, till they went to college or something. Leti, this has been great talking to you, and you have this beautiful EP that I've heard some of coming out March 24th of this year. People can go to letigarza.com, but they can check out La Empaliza, Brown Recluse Mix Now, and all of your other work on all the streaming services and everything. I know there's a lot of stuff I'm missing, but is there anything I'm missing for the context of this?
Gosh, I would say go to letigarza.com band.
Okay.
Can't even say my name. That's better than going to a website. I think websites, people are getting away from websites and going straight direct to what is. And so go to letigarza.bandcamp.com. That's what I would do.
Okay.
You really want to see what's happening. And then the other thing is, let's see. There's no other thing. Everybody keep going out there. Be safe. That's what for everybody there in this public that we're speaking to, which I don't know who's out there. But my heart goes out to everyone who's struggling through this time.
Yeah.
And together, I really liked the inauguration speech yesterday.
Yeah.
All of us
Yeah.
are going to do this.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that's it. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for doing it. It was really nice meeting you. Hopefully we can meet in person someday and hug and have some laughs.
Nice.
And we can speak Spanish because no one else will be listening to us.
Okay, espero que sí. Que tengas un buen día. Have a great day.
Tú también.
Great.
Mucho gusto.
Bye.
Bye.
Igualmente. Bye.
Dime niña quién te besó a la orilla de la empaliza. Dime niña quién te besó a la orilla de la empaliza. La culpa tuvo tu mamá, que la justicia no hiciera nada.
All right. Leti Garza, what a great conversation, man. Fantastic getting to know that lady. You can find her at letigarza.com. Don't forget to go out and check out her single, which you're hearing right now, La Empaliza, Brown Recluse Mix, available now. Her EP, Borderland, drops on March 24th. Go to letigarza.com for all of your Leti Garza needs. Great getting to know her. Gang, don't forget when you're out there checking out letigarza.com that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, anywhere. New shows all the time. We're dropping 3 shows a week in the month of February. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, a brand new show. And gang, don't forget, check out Drint, along with DZ Brown, Stone Wheels, Pelvis Wrestling, and Aubrey Hayes on ATX Next Gen Adventures in Lockdown Side B, available now at austinmusicfoundation.bandcamp.com. All right, let's hear the rest of this song, La Empaliza, Brown Recluse Mix from Leti Garza. Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Stay warm. Stay warm. It's cold out there. Stay safe. Let's get down.
Como fue, se descuidaron que la justicia no hiciera nada. Por eso a mí me gusta el merengue de la empaliza. A la orilla de la empaliza. El merengue de la empaliza. empaliza. Como fuese descuidaron que la justicia no hiciera nada. Por eso a mí me gusta el merengue de la empaliza. A la orilla de la empaliza. Mira niña, qué bueno está. Las mujeres son de Santiago y a Santiago ya viven bien. Las mujeres son de Santiago y a Santiago ya viven bien. Y por causa de las mujeres sanjuaneras soy yo también. Y por causa de las mujeres sanjuaneras soy yo también. Mira niña, qué bueno está. A la orilla de la empaliza. Mira niña, qué bueno está. A la orilla de la empaliza.